Alright, hello class again and welcome. Division and classification essay. Today we're going to look at another rhetorical mode or style of essay writing, and that is the division and the classification essays. Last week we looked at process essays, and we defined a process essay as an essay that describes or explains steps in a process. That defines or explains steps in a process. Today we're going to look at another rhetorical mode, and that is the division and classification essay. A quick definition of this type of essay is the following. Division and classification essay is a rhetorical mode or style and method of organizing information that in essay format takes a whole and splits it up into parts, and then places the divided information into various categories. So from this definition, we quickly get the idea that in a division and classification essay, there are two main or major steps. Splitting a whole into parts and then dividing or placing the divided information into various groups or categories. How to write a division classification essay? These are simple steps. There are basically two steps. The rest are understood. Supporting paragraphs and the concluding paragraph. So the first point or the starting point for this kind of essay is to decide on how you will divide your topic. So you have a topic: cars, universities, people, books. You have a topic and you want to write a division classification essay about it. So you need, first of all, to have a basis of or for division or classification. A basis of division or for division. We also call this basis of division organizing principle. Organizing principle. This division will serve as your controlling idea. You cannot write too many things about the topic in an essay, just like a paragraph. And so you need to control your discussion. You need to have a controlling idea. When we explored the essay in the week before the last, when we introduced the essay, we said that the thesis statement, which is the backbone of an essay or the essay, and which is similar to the topic sentence, but the topic sentence controls only one paragraph. The thesis controls a number of paragraphs. When we introduced the thesis statement, we said that the thesis statement does or should do three things. It should state the topic, it should state the controlling ideas. So it should make a discussable point. A discussable point meaning by mentioning the controlling ideas of your topic, the subtopics you're going to discuss, the aspect of your topic. You cannot discuss every aspect in an essay. If you want to discuss every aspect of a topic, you need to have a book. You cannot write, an essay about technology, for example. Everything about technology in a book in an essay is impossible. So you need to control your discussion to a certain aspect of technology. So whether it's a paragraph or an essay, you still need controlling ideas that will limit your discussion to the ideas you want to discuss depending on your purpose. And the third thing the thesis does is that it indicates or may indicate the method of organization, the rhetorical pattern you're going to use. For example, today, classification, division and classification. Last week we dealt with process essays. So the thesis should indicate the type of classification, or sorry, the type of essay, the structure, how you're going to organize your information. I am very quickly looking now, for example, at page 109. Page 109. So if you look at the thesis statement of this essay on page 109, let me read it. It doesn't take a genius to learn most of the tricks I perform, but if you follow these steps, you look like one to the people you trick. So obviously, from this thesis statement, we know that this essay is a process essay. The rhetorical style or the method of organizing or representing information is that of process. How do I know? But if you follow these steps, so obviously this is a process essay where the writer is going to explain or describe steps in a process, how you can do something or how something is being done, depending on whether the process is directional or descriptive, instructional in other words, or informational. So where was I? So the first step is to have a basis of division, which will act as your controlling idea. So every topic can be discussed from many angles. You need to focus only on one angle. That's your focus. That's your... Okay, number two, step two, having decided on a basis of or for division, then you move on to divide and classify that basis into groups or types, kinds, etc., etc. These are really the basic two steps for a classification essay. As for the other two steps here, they're clear. You need to identify and describe one group in each supporting paragraph. So the three types or groups or categories you have decided to talk about, each one of these groups will be discussed separately in a supporting paragraph in the body. And the concluding paragraph will restate the method of classification and summarize the groups. Let's now look at some examples to illustrate how we do that. Okay, as an example, let's take the topic cars. Or even before the topic cars, let's take another topic. Let's say Malaysians. You want to write, whether you want to take the initiative or your professor has asked you to write a division and classification essay on or about Malaysians. So the topic is Malaysians. Okay, now you want to brainstorm ideas, plan for your essay. So the first stage, pre-writing. One of the best pre-writing techniques used to generate ideas for a classification essay is the clustering technique. The clustering technique. Of course, you can use any of the other two, like free writing and listing. What did we call that first technique? We have clustering, free writing, and listing. I think you list whatever ideas that come to your mind in the form of a list, and then you delete, and then you select some for. So as you can see on page 116, one of the best pre-writing methods to use for generating ideas for a classification essay is the clustering technique, where you write a topic in the center of a page and then have branches with circles for the ideas that come into your mind. So coming back to the topic your professor has asked you to write about, Malaysians. Imagine Malaysians now in the middle of your page in a circle, and then you can have, remember that you need now to have a basis for your division. Malaysians, okay, the first thing that has come to my mind personally is ethnicity, ethnic groups. Let's think of other bases for division. The plural of basis is bases. The I becomes E, and it's a long vowel. Basis, bases. So one basis of division of the topic Malaysians can be ethnicity. Later on we're going to think about the groups step by step. Let's think of other bases. Malaysians, we can talk about Malaysians in terms of ethnicity, in terms of location, maybe some in the northern states, some in the southern states, and some in the coastal states. So this is another way to classify Malaysians. Think of other bases. So in terms of location, in terms of ethnicity, geographical location, Malaysians in terms of maybe education. Some are highly educated with PhDs. Some are, with maybe a bachelor or a master, and some with only a school certificate. So this could be another way to classify Malaysians. So as you brainstorm, you come up with bases. Remember that pre-writing is an integral part of writing. Pre-writing is an integral part of writing. Writing is a process. You've got to understand this and be patient. So let's take one of these bases for division. Let's take the first one, ethnicity, for example. Okay, now we need, the second step is to, city. The next step is to divide, to formulate your groups. So ethnicity now, Malaysians, ethnicity, obviously we can have 3 groups. We have, for example, the Malays, Chinese. To use this hierarchy that we have here, Malays, Chinese, and then Indians. This is not to say that I approve of this hierarchy. Let's say Indians, Chinese, and then Malays. This is not my point now. So the thing is that we have divided the spaces into 3 groups. So we can now talk about 3 groups. And by the way, it's always preferable that you break down or divide your basis of division into 3 groups. Of course, it can be less than that, 2 groups, for example, or more than that. But preferably, for a typical essay, 3 groups. Okay? So that's it, guys. So now we have, the topic is Malaysians. The basis of division, I have it chosen, is ethnicity. The groups are Chinese, Malays, and Indians. So each of these groups will be discussed separately in one of the supporting body paragraphs. Easy. Theoretically speaking, there is nothing difficult. You have a topic, think of a basis for division, whether it's size, whether it's, it depends on the topic. But obviously any topic can be discussed from different angles, meaning you have more than one basis. So depending on your purpose, you decide on a division, a basis for division. But you must have it in order, as I said, to have a controlling idea. Malaysians, you cannot write everything about Malaysians in a paragraph, in an essay. So what is it exactly that you want to write about Malaysians in an essay? I am not asking you to write a book. A book you can talk about the different aspects of Malaysians. But this is an essay, so you still need to focus on one angle for your writing. So here is the example I've just given you. The topic is Malaysians. A basis of division, for division, we choose an ethnicity. The groups, Malay, Chinese, Indians, and Indians. Now, having done that, you can easily formulate your thesis statement. Remember that you are still pre-writing now. Remember that pre-writing is for generating ideas and planning, having a rough plan. Part of this rough plan is to have your thesis. So based on the two steps we have just done, now we're ready to write the thesis statement. On page, in the book, on page 118, there are 3 sentence patterns that you can use for constructing a thesis statement for a classification essay. Any one will do. Just like, remember the process essay, we came also across a number of patterns. The one you like, you can stick to it. You want to experiment with all, see the one you prefer, and whenever you're asked or whenever you want to write a process essay, or in this case a classification essay, you choose the pattern, the sentence pattern you like. Personally, when it comes to classification essays, I like the 3rd pattern in the book, where you start with your topic, in this case Malaysians, and then use can be. If you look at page 118, you will realize what I am saying. Pattern number 3. You begin with a topic. Whether your topic is mobile phones, technology, students, Malaysians, whatever your topic is. So, Malaysians can be divided, can be classified. Malaysians can be classified according to their ethnicity into 3 groups. Colon, and then you add a colon, this punctuation mark, 2 dots, and then you write the 3 groups, Malays, Chinese, comma, and Indians. So this is your thesis. Malaysians can be classified into 3 groups according to their ethnicity. You can also say Malaysians can be classified according to their ethnicity into 3 groups. No problem, you can move around the phrases. Malays, Chinese, and Indians. Indians, Chinese, and Malays. This is not an issue. You could begin with Indians. Maybe you are an Indian, so you like to begin with Indians. Maybe you are a Chinese, so you like to begin with Chinese. So this is not an issue. But what is an issue is that you follow the same order in your body paragraphs. If you begin with Malays, then the first paragraph in the supporting body will be Malays. You begin with Indians, then the first paragraph will be about Indians, in order not to, have a problem with coherence. What is coherence? Who can define coherence quickly? By the way, who can quickly define coherence?
It's like a unity. Right.
When we talked about City, when we talked about the 5 elements of good writing, we talked about unity as one thing and coherence as another category. Remember the 5 elements? What are the 5 elements of good writing? Who can remind me quickly? Purpose, audience, clarity, unity, and coherence. So unity, we discussed it as a separate category. They're related. But unity we defined unity as every sentence in your piece of writing is related to one topic. When every sentence is related to one topic, you achieve unity. What about coherence?
Coherence is in the writing is related to the topic and it's not out of context.
We define coherence. Coherence is the logical organization of ideas. Coherence is the organization of ideas in your piece of writing. Coherence is the logical organization and the smooth flow of ideas in your piece of writing. Shall I write it in the chat? Guys, you do not revise. This is deplorable, execrable, bad. It is the logical coherence is the logical organization and the flow and the smooth flow of ideas in a piece of writing. In a piece of discourse, to be honest, in a piece of discourse, whether it's writing or speaking, in a piece of discourse. Here it is. Coherence is the logical organization and a smooth flow of ideas in a piece of discourse. We don't want to talk about coherence now again. This is not the right context, but we did talk about it and ways to achieve coherence, like having a topic sentence, having a thesis statement and topic sentences, having a method of organization, and having cohesive devices such as discourse markers, conjunctions, pronouns, repeating keywords. All these devices can help achieve cohesion and so coherence. Guys, refer back to my classes. I don't know, should I now stop? Okay, let me get out of this presentation. Stop presenting. You are presenting. Stop presenting. And let me go to a presentation I made last semester about this topic. It's already uploaded on my Guru. Sorry, uploaded on my channel, YouTube channel. You can view it there. But just to remind you that you have no excuse. You have no excuse not to know what is the. This is, by the way, the reading class last semester. Okay, coherence and cohesion in reading and writing. The class is that. Just writing and speaking tasks. Okay. We've just am I presenting? Oh no.
You have to present again.
I love have to. You'll be better if you do not do that. Okay. So, can you see now? This is a recorded presentation or class from last semester. Can you see it now? Sentential relation.
Yes.
And at the level of the paragraph, who is this? This is even you, City. Surprising.
Yes.
See, I asked you, and you were in the same class. Logical organization of ideas. Can you see the captions?
Yes.
Suprasentential relation. These are the criteria used to assess writing and speaking. Okay. Coherence. Sidi, can you read the definition? How we define coherence last semester?
The logical organization of ideas through programming and sequencing.
Okay. So it is the logical organization and the smooth flow of ideas in a piece of discourse through paragraphing and sequencing. And this is cohesion. The organization of language or how sentences are connected and related. These are criteria. Okay, so cohesion is part of coherence. So for a text to be coherent, it has to be cohesive. Cohesive have to do with how sentences are related. And there are ways, we talked about ways to create cohesion. By the way, both coherence and cohesion come from the Latin verb cohere, which means to stick together, to link, to connect. And we said that cohesion can be grammatical, two types of cohesion, lexical and grammatical. It's in this very video. The ability of a text to express one topic.
So use synonyms.
So let's very quickly, since as you can see here, there are this has already been said. I know it has already been said. There are two main types of cohesion: grammatical cohesion and lexical cohesion. So while lexical cohesion can be achieved through the repetition of words and synonyms and the use of collocations, grammatical cohesion can be used through these categories: the use of conjunctions and the transitions, discourse markers, and the use of referencing, pronouns to refer back or forward, and the use of ellipsis and substitution. We talked about these categories. This is a recorded video. You can go back to it. At least by your class. These are the types of frequently or customarily the types of reference that we discussed: anaphoric reference, cataphoric reference, axophoric reference, endophoric reference. You just need to revise and consolidate, to go through what we teach you and consolidate. Where are we? Where are we?
Your slides.
My slides. Where are my slides now? So let me stop this presentation and represent now.
You actually don't need to stop representing. You can just go through the slides again.
Which slides? I need to go to the earlier slides about writing. Division classification. Okay, here are the slides. And let me present now again. Okay. Okay, we're back. So I give you this example. The other example, the one about cars, a basis for, so your subject or topic is cars, and you're being asked to write a classification essay. So you could choose the following basis, or one of these bases. A basis for classification for the subject cars can be size, can be manufacturer. The manufacturer can be in terms of groups. The next step can be Toyota, can be Proton, and can be one more manufacturer. You may have price as a basis for classification, or the style of the car, or fuel efficiency, or type of fuel. Maybe type of fuel. Some cars are operated using diesel or petrol, others solar energy, and a third type or group is hybrid cars nowadays that are operated using both traditional and sophisticated energy sources. So there could be more than one basis, obviously, but you need then to think of a basis for your division and then have your groups. Having decided on your organizing principle, in other words, your basis for division, now you can divide your topic into 3 separate and distinct groups. In this case, for example, you can say compact cars, intermediate cars, and full-size cars, if you have chosen a size as your organizing principle. And so a thesis statement based on this will look like this, something like this. Cars can be classified according to their size. So this is your subject or topic. This is your basis of division, organizing principle. And these are the 3 groups or categories. Compact, intermediate, and full size. Needless to say that each of these categories will be then defined or explained, identified in the subsequent 3 supporting paragraphs. That's all about a classification essay, really. These are the 3 sentence patterns that you can use for writing your thesis. Personally, I like the 3rd one, but you can also experiment with the first 2 kinds. You can see this clearly, more clearly on page 118 in your textbook, 118. The next slide is about essay, the plan. So as you plan your essay, remember to, for the introduction, as usual, guys, as I said, writing a classification essay or a process essay or a compare contrast essay does not mean that you're writing a new genre now. It's still the same genre or type of writing, still writing an essay. And so the basics of essay writing that we explored in the week before the last apply. They're still applicable. You still need an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And in the introduction, you should have a hook, one of 7 types of hooks we discussed, and then some connecting information or background information that will form the transition between your hook and your thesis at the end of your introductory paragraph. So it's all the same. Okay. In brief, Sidi, can you read? Can you summarize the lesson? What I have said in brief.
Write a division classification essay. Determine the most appropriate basis of division or classification for your topic. Identify the groups you will write about. Make sure your groups are separate and distinct by describing each in a supporting paragraph, and end with a conclusion that illustrates the method of classification and summarizes the groups.
In other words, first make sure that your introduction states a topic, gives the basis of a classification, and identifies the groups. Next, make sure that your groups are defined separately and distinctly in the supporting paragraphs. Finally, restate the method of classification and summarize your groups. Can anything be easier? That's it. Voila. Voila. If you do that, you're going to have a classification essay. Voila.
It's as easy as ABC.
Have I done a good job? If I have done a good job, clap your hands. Louder, louder. A flying kiss. Okay. Where are we? Now we're going to look at any question? Okay, if there are no questions, then in the remaining 40 minutes, Let's look at let's quickly browse the unit or the chapter 6, and do some of the exercises in the textbook. Okay, so let's begin with page practice A on page 117. So here you have what do you have? You have a basis of division. You have a topic. The topic is students. The topic is students in your class. So your job is to think of a basis for division and organizing a principle for the topic, the subject, your students or students in your class. And then, based on your basis, divide them into groups. So work on this exercise for 5 minutes. You could use, as I said, the clustering technique to help you. Write the topic, students, and then have your branches and circles to help you come up with ideas. I can give you an example. Basis for division, again, ethnicity. Groups will be Malays, Indians, and Chinese. So think of the same topic but another basis. In other words, another controlling idea, depending on your purpose. All right, can anyone share with us his or her basis of division and the groups?
I've come up with 2 divisions.
Sorry?
I've come up with 2 divisions.
Fine, give us one by one.
So the first is basic division is types of students. And the groups are well-organized students and disorganized students. Is that okay?
Types of students.
I'm not sure whether the basis is correct or not.
Types.
The groups, yeah.
Maybe in terms of their organization, or in terms of their you're dividing a principle here. Organizing principle is how organized or how tidy they are in terms of okay. Remember that you are pre-writing, so you are thinking, planning.
Yeah.
Okay, the other the ideas can be refined as we go through the process of writing. What's the other basis?
The second one is I'm not sure for the title of the basis, but the groups are passive students and active students.
Before the groups, you need to. So maybe here you're thinking of active, passive. Maybe in terms of participation.
Yeah, so participation of students.
Or active learning. Yes, in terms of participation, some are passive, some are active, some are somewhere in between. It's always a good idea to have three. I said, three groups. Yes, you can have two, you can have more than three, but preferably think of a topic and a basis that can help you write about the three things. I know that in example one we have two groups only, right-handed and left-handed. But by the way, you can add one more group to the same topic here. There are those who are ambidextrous. Are you familiar with the word ambidextrous? You are not. Here is a word, ambidextrous. So someone who is ambidextrous is someone who can use either hand with the same skill and ability. Ambidextrous. Okay, can we have other examples?
Doctor, can I use types of attitudes?
Go ahead, let me hear what you have.
Basis for division, types of attitudes, groups, rude, well-mannered, and unbothered.
Again, please.
Rude, well-mannered, and unbothered.
The basis for division is?
Types of attitudes.
Are the groups related to attitudes? If you think so, then okay. Students in terms of attitude, in terms of personality, in terms of participation, ethnicity, engagement in the class, diligence. Some are diligent, some are lazy, some are somewhat. I mean, you can. Okay. You can think in terms of gender, for example. The basis is gender, and you can have three groups. What are they? You can have gender as a basis, and then you have males, females, and she-males. Do we have any she-male in the class? Do we have any she-male? Here's the spelling in the chat. So you can talk about gender then. Maybe you can talk about motivation. Motivation. Some, and as a group, you can say some are high motivation, highly motivated, somewhat motivated, and demotivated. You see? All right. Can you look at page 119, practice A? Now let's practice some more. Philia, can you read the instructions on page 119?
Circle the topic of each thesis statement and identify the basis of division and the groups.
Okay, so here you have thesis statements or classification essays, your task job is to circle the topic and then state the basis of division and the groups. Number one, for example, the topic is fuels. The basis of division is the physical state of a fuel. Physical state of a fuel. This is the basis the writer is going to have. Not the history, not the price, not the... Okay. And the groups are solid, liquid, and gaseous. Okay, I have a few minutes to work on the rest. Remember that the video about coherence and cohesion is can be found on the internet, on YouTube, in case you want to revise and consolidate your understanding of these concepts, along with some other presentations or videos discussions we had. Okay. Who would like to share with us the work?
Can I try, Captain?
Yes, please.
Number 2. Animals can be divided into 3 groups according to what they eat: carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores. The topic here is animals. The basis of division is what they eat, and the groups are carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores.
That's right. Yep. So according to what they eat or the type of food they eat. So we have carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores. That's right. Someone else? Another topic?
After the first one,
Yes?
the topic is poles. Basis of division is physical states of poles, and the groups are solid, liquid, and gaseous.
That's right. Okay. Other ones? The rest of the class, quickly.
Sir, can I give you that, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so number 3. Sports can be classified into 3 groups according to the number of players: individual sports, 2-player sports, and team sports. So the topic is sports, and the basis of division is the number of players, and the groups is individual sports, 2-player sports, and team sports.
Yes.
Okay.
Someone else? Another topic? Okay, please do the rest on your own at home. Move on. Look at the next practice. B. Write a thesis statement for a classification essay on each of the following essay topics. And so, use one of the sentence patterns now to write a thesis statement. Example number 1. Let's look at the example. Topic: restaurants in my city. The writer, the student, has chosen type of food they serve as the organizing principle, the basis for the division. The thesis statement: the rest and the groups are fast food restaurants, family style restaurants, and gourmet restaurants. And so the thesis will be: the restaurants in my city can be divided according to the type of food they serve into 3 groups: fast food restaurants, family style restaurants, and gourmet restaurants. Have a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, to work on the rest. At least do one of these topics. Write a thesis about one of them. All right. Can I have anyone? You have a topic. Think of a basis for division. Formulate the groups. Write your or construct your thesis. Anyone?
Can I try, Doctor?
Fatihatul, yes.
I choose number 4, topic friends I have had.
Uh-huh.
Basis of classification of their outlooks. This is statement, friends I have had can be divided according to their outlooks into 3 groups: optimistics, pessimistics, realistics.
So that's their outlooks on life. Outlook on life. Fine. This is one way to divide your friends. Their outlook on life. Okay. Other classifications. Other. Okay, and the thesis. So how will the? So what's the thesis, Fatihatu?
The thesis statement is, friends I have had can be divided according to their outlooks on life into 3 groups: optimistic, pessimistic, and realistic.
All right. Can you write it in the chat? Fatihatu, write the thesis in the chat.
All right.
The rest, who has come up with a thesis statement?
May I try, Doctor?
Nur Yasmin, yes.
Yes. I did the topic television shows. So my basis of classification is genres. The thesis statement is television shows can be divided into 3 types according to genres: horror, romance, and comedy.
Do we have such shows in reality? What is a show?
Doesn't it to be a reality TV shows, right? Because the topic is television shows.
So it's about shows. So are these types of shows? Horror and romance, and I'm not sure. So in terms of genre, I would think, as you said, for example, reality shows. This is one genre or type of show. You've got to think of other types of shows. Maybe phone-in show. Phone-in. Phone-in. I don't know if it's a type of show. Phone-in. Where where the guys on the show receive calls from people. Maybe quiz shows also. Quiz shows. Like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I don't know, the ones about cooking, are these shows as types of shows? So see, you think writing is about thinking and also doing some research. Okay, the rest can be done at home. Look at the classification essay on the next page. We don't want to read the whole essay, can be done at home, but I want someone to read the introduction and then the topic sentence of each supporting paragraph, and finally the concluding paragraph. Who can read? Only reading. Types of memory. Can we have someone to read the introduction and then the topic sentences? No one?
Can I, Doctor?
Yes, please.
Types of memory. Most of the activities we perform every day depend on information we have learned and saved in our memory. Everything from talking, walking, comprehending speech, reading, and socializing depends on our memory. It is our memory that allows us to remember events from a few moments ago, as well as from when we were children. It is also our memory that helps us learn new skills and form habits. Psychologists, philosophers, writers, and educators are fascinated by human memory. Among their many questions how does the brain store memories, and why do people remember some kinds of information more easily than others? Although researchers still have much to learn about human memory, most agree that memory can be divided into three types according to how information is recalled: sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory.
Read the topic sentence of each subsequent paragraph, body paragraph. Read the topic sentence of each paragraph. What the writer talks about one of these categories. First,
information comes to us through our senses: eye, ears, nose, etc. into our sensory memory.
okay, move on. So this paragraph talks about the first subtopic or subdivision, and that is sensory memory. Move on. The next paragraph.
Second type of memory, short-term memory, STM, is also called working memory. And finally, there is long-term memory, LTM.
Read the concluding paragraph.
Our three types of memory, sensory, short-term, and long-term, work together to process and store information. Without our memory, we could not process sensory stimuli or access past experiences and information. Everything from understanding language, recognizing family members, finding our way to school, and even buttoning a shirt would be impossible without memory.
Okay, dokie.
You look tired.
Sorry?
You look tired.
I am thinking now about the next, academic task of the class. PPG2 and marking. Too many tasks. All right. Look at page 125. Situation 2. Situation 2. Okay, this is homework. We're gonna have a piece of homework and an assignment. Situation 2. You are the principal of an elementary school. You are the Guru Besar, the principal. You need to write an article for new teachers describing the three main types of learners: visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic learners. These are learner preferences, learning styles. Working groups to research more information on the internet about these types of learners and learning styles. Write the information on the lines provided. So you have the three categories. So the basis for division, the topic is learners. Basis for division is types of learners or learning styles. The groups are, the subdivisions are visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners. You have some information about each. Look for some more information that characterizes each of these learners or learning styles or these subdivisions, and then look at B. After that, look at B, next page. Write an article about the three types of learners after you brainstorm for more ideas. The thesis should be this one. Teachers recognize there are many learning styles, but they agree that most students fall into one of these three types depending on how they process information: visual learners, auditory learners, or kinesthetic learners. So use this thesis. But if you want to use any of the other two sentence constructions for classification essays, you can also use. For example, learners can be classified according to their style of learning into three groups: visual learners, auditory learners, or kinesthetic learners. I am looking at your thesis statement, Fatihatu. Friends, I have had, or just I have, not a big issue. Okay, I have had, can be divided according to their outlooks on life into three groups: optimistic, pessimistic, and realistic. Yeah, perfect. And then write your essay. So each supporting paragraph will pick up one of these three types of learners, beginning with the visual learner type, and then moving on to auditory, and finally kinesthetic. And then you come up with a conclusion that restates your method of classification and summarizes the main points. So this is homework or assignment piece 1. Assignment piece 2, second assignment, writing a classification essay. On page 126 you see a number of topics. Choose the topic that you like, construct a classification essay, and as usual exchange it with your group members. Decide on a time, sit together, select the best piece, send it to me with the other pieces attached, and enjoy the process. Okay? That's all about. Yes, though I know your question, though I can anticipate your question. It is about the first piece.
What?
About
No,
the
I have.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to clarify. So we have 2 writings to make this week.
Yeah, so this is what I said. So your question is about the first piece.
Isn't 2 writings too much, sir?
Is it?
I mean, we have a lot of other works to do.
Okay, City, if that's the case, then the first piece, do it on your own without having to consult your group. Just look for some more information about these three types. And by the way, you should be able to know which type of learner you are. So maybe from your research, you will realize, for example, personally, I am a visual learner. You might even have noticed this. Sometimes when you say something, I ask you to write it. So for me to learn something, I need to see it. To learn a word, for example, I need to see it visually. Some people depend merely on listening. If they listen to something, they learn it. For me, to learn something, I have to see it. So I am a visual learner. Some people, to learn something, to master something, they have to move around. They have to learn while there's some movement or action. For example, holding a book and walking while learning. Walking from that direction to this direction. So they need some element of movement or action in learning. These are kinesthetic learners. So you should be able to know whether you are a visual or kinesthetic or auditory learner. So look for some more information about these three categories. Write an essay. If you want to send it to me, send it to me. If you want to keep it for yourself as a way to practice before the actual piece to be sent to me, that choice is yours. But what you have to send is then the second piece. Choose a topic amongst one of the topics on page 126 and follow the process of writing. So, are you satisfied, Sidi?
Thank you, Doctor.
I cannot make you dissatisfied, not in my classes. Alright guys, before we end, since we still have 5 minutes, there is a video that I would like to listen with you about division and the classification essay. So let's listen to it together and then end our class. On page 128, you be the editor. There is a paragraph about classification. So there are how many mistakes? There are 10 mistakes. So this is editing. So please also try to try to spot the 10 mistakes and correct them. In case you fail to pick the 10, after you consult your friends, you can ask me about, for example, you can tell me, sir, I couldn't find more than 9 or 8. So I can answer you in the next class. Let's watch the video, the educational video together.
Classification is when you take a topic and divide it into categories to perhaps try to help the reader understand it more clearly, to compare, to show preference, or possibly to help the reader make a decision. Now, the first step in classification is when you take your topic, you have to decide on a basis for your classification. So, if your topic were, for example, cell phone users, you would have to decide how are you going to divide cell phone users into different categories. Now, you have unlimited options to choose from, but you want to make sure that you're choosing something interesting and not something obvious. So you want to avoid classifications based on things like age or gender. Okay, so 3 bases for classification that I have come up with here are frequency of use, or how frequently they use their cell phones, dependence, how reliant or dependent they are on their cell phones, or purpose, why they have their cell phone or how they use it. So once you've brainstormed, you can choose one basis for classification, and then it's time to divide your subject into categories. So I've decided to go with dependence. So when you're dividing cell phone users based on their dependence, I've come up with 3 categories: the addicted user, the moderately dependent cell phone user, and the non-dependent cell phone user. Now you want to make sure that you have, I would say, at least 3 classes to make your paragraph or essay as interesting as possible. So once you've decided on your categories, it's now important to explain them, and in some cases to define them. So it may be useful for you to watch the video on definition before continuing on with classification. Now you have to take each category and perhaps give examples. I said, addicted users can't stop. They feel compelled to use their cell phone and have difficulty sitting through a conversation without checking messages or texting their friends. Moderately dependent users are people who need their cell phones for contact numbers or for business, but have no problems putting their cell phone away or turning it off. If their cell phones are left at home, they're irritated, but their lives will not end. And the third category is non-dependent users, people who use their phone for emergencies, but may often forget to turn their phones on or choose to not answer their phone at all. So once you've decided on the categories and you have some details, you want to make sure that you have a strong topic sentence if you're writing a paragraph. So my example topic sentence is, cell phone users can be divided into 3 categories based on their dependence. Naturally, if you're writing a full essay to classify this subject, you want your thesis statement to be more narrow, more specified. Okay, so I have written as my thesis statement, all cell phone users can be grouped into 3 classes based on their dependence: the addicted, the moderately dependent, and the non-dependent user. If you are writing an essay on classification, you can use the basic essay structure that we've gone over in the video on essay structure. The key for good classification, as I've said, is to be interesting, to avoid the obvious, and to make sure that you have a purpose for the classification. Ask yourself, what is the point of putting this subject into categories? So for some practice of classification, follow the link at the end of this video.
Okay, that's it, guys. Voila again. If you have no questions, I have to end the class at this moment. It's already 1 minute. Any questions? 53 students, which means that about 20 have already left. When they have left, you see, as the head told me yesterday, let me read this message. To you. Where are we? Head of the English department, Dr. Hashima. Feeling some pain yesterday. I said, hi Dr. Hashima, now I am having a class. This was yesterday. The class started at 10 and shall be over at 1. When I started the class, I had full attendance, 73 students. This was yesterday's group, writing 1. Now, when I look at the attendees, I see only 62, which means that 11 have left in the course of the class. This was in the last 15 minutes of the class. In the last 15 minutes, I looked at the attendees. Like now, I see 53. Then I ask a question: how? No, it's actually an exclamatory sentence. How can we really track students on online classes? Some join late if I want to take attendance at the beginning. Some join at the beginning but leave sometime later. Yet some give the impression of being joined, but when you ask them questions, they don't respond, which would mean that they are somewhere else. Few keep their cameras on despite my constant adjuration to keep them on. They turn off the camera, and only God knows if they are all in the class and attentive or not. It's not easy to track their real presence in the online environment. Teaching online is challenging, and what we need is support. So I voiced to her my concern, my pain. She said, there are some of the setbacks of online learning, Dr. Aladdin. Setbacks, problems. The students are, but that's the point why I have read this exchange of messages. The students are responsible for their own academic performance. So it's their responsibility to attend and stay in class. So what can I do if you leave? If you are physically present but you are mentally absent, if what can I do? So it's the responsibility to attend and stay in class. I know you, and I know how serious you are about your work. Just work hard and do the best. So I know you, and I know how serious you are. In terms of attendance, the system will take the student's attendance automatically, so you're good. Love you all, with one exception, and I don't want to voice out this exception. We shall meet next week with another rhetorical mode, cause-effect essays. More fun, more pleasure is on the way. Week 11 next week. 4 more sessions, and then you will or may never see me again. I love all of you without exception. I was just, pulling your legs. Okay, see you guys.
Goodbye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you,
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
doctor.
very much, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, doctor.